Denver Broncos Mile High View, no commercials, no bullshit. We have an action-packed uh, platform for you, program for you. We want to start off by talking about patting ourselves on the back a little bit. There are disingenuous platforms out there that I feel either one or two things. They're lying to their audience because they're paid for it, and they're lying to their audience to get subscriptions, or they're not qualified to bring you the latest and greatest. And I want to say this: we knew that the quarterback. We did some research, and we knew that the quarterbacks that were in questions, Stafford and Deshaun Watson, in no way wanted to come to the Denver Broncos. You know, nobody wanted to believe that. Everybody wanted to thumbs down us. Oh, we're crazy. Well, last night they finally told the truth on Sports Talk Radio that, in fact, the national perspective of this, which we brought you, was that both quarterbacks do not want to come to Denver. Now, I think it's disingenuous when you actually headline a whole hour program saying that Stafford is a shoo-in to come to Denver. That is totally disingenuous to your audience. You respect your audience, not at all. You want to make them feel good to get your ratings up.
And to buy your merch.
To buy your merch, yeah, all that crap. Okay, we're not about that here. We're about giving you the truth. And we're not proud that they don't want to come here. We're not proud that this is a fact, a reality of life. But what our job is to do is we not like an alcoholic and deny the problem. You know, blame the coach. It's all Fangio. By the way, that's what the Raiders did back in the 90s when nobody would come and play for Al Davis. The fan base, their sports talk radio said, it's always the coach. It's never that nobody wants to come and play for Al Davis. We are there now. We have arrived. Okay, so we, instead of being alcoholics and say that we don't have a problem, we have to look at the issue and say, we do have a problem and we need to fix this problem so that we can attract a Deshaun Watson. Okay, what we're doing, the things we do is not going to attract a Deshaun Watson. Okay, you take a look at the way Case Keenum was handled. They brought him in, didn't even put him in a system that was the correct system. Mismanagement. Okay. Then they get rid of him, drum him out. Then they bring Flacco in. I'm screaming from the rooftop that you cannot bring Flacco in to a team that has a bad offensive line. I was told I was an idiot, didn't know what I was talking about. The guy gets killed. They drum him out of town. Then you get a young quarterback. You don't even want to give him a chance. And granted, let's even just say that 50% of his completion rating was, let's just say that was 50% of it was him. But just to be fair, you have to say the other 50% was everything else around him. Just to be fair. And I don't think it was even quite 50% on his part. But to be fair, you can't have it both ways, okay? Let's say we eliminated those 50% of the problem. Do you think maybe Locke's production would have went up with that 50% over time like it did, even though the problems were still around him? Okay, so what it is Stafford and Deshaun Watson, they look at that stuff. They see that this, it's like, do you really think that these quarterbacks are like a teenager in one of these horror flicks? Oh, yeah, let's go into the house with the chainsaws with the blood dripping off of it. Yeah, they're not that stupid. So we got to figure out how we can stop being quarterback killers. How to develop this team, how to develop this core organization. One of the biggest problems is there's no ownership, okay? These guys aren't going to come here knowing that, this whole ownership thing has to get resolved too. But nobody wants to talk about that. They want to blame Fangio. Okay, so we're not here in the blaming the wrong people business, okay? And yes, I'll do some name calling, but if you could stop being stupid for just 5 minutes, I wouldn't name call. But one thing I won't do is lie to you. I may call you dum-dum, some of you, but I'm never going to lie to you, okay? So I think that it's very disingenuous of some of these platforms, and it's downright evil because they're getting paid to do it, to either lie to you. If they're not lying to you, then they're not qualified. We try to bring you the truth, and it's panning out. We were correct yet again. So if you like sunshine and lollipops blown up your ass, you go somewhere else, and you can have that all day long. There's Feel Good Friday on Sports Talk Radio. Oakley Dokley Stokely will be glad to tell you all the lies you want to hear to make you feel good, because that's what that program's about. But it's not about how to actually build this team. Mahomes and Tom Brady aren't the only guys on the team. There's all the other players that were correctly drafted and placed in a correct system. There's management. There's ownership, okay? There's a whole thing around them that makes them successful. So you can sit here and talk about Mahomes and worship them because they're GOATs, right? Gods, all-time gods, right? So, here again, we're trying to keep it real. We're trying to give you the best product we possibly can. Now, I've been talking, and go ahead, Colby.
Go ahead. If you have any more to say, get it off your chest.
Yeah, I'm just sick and tired of the quarterback talk. It's like listening to an alcoholic. I just need one more drink. I just need one more drink. You need to dry up. And giving you another fifth of Jack Daniels is not going to help you. You need to dry up. You need to take care of other issues around you before I can give you the little shot of alcohol, which you really shouldn't have to begin with. So that was the first thing I had to talk about. Was I'm just so sick of the talk of the quarterback when everything else is in shambles, and nobody wants to look at that. So I had to get it off my chest. Sports Talk Radio, you're wrong again. We were right, and we're not. It's not that we were right, you were wrong. Is that we are giving you the best information always. Go ahead.
Okay. So I just want to address the STR platforms out there. I just want to say this to all those people and all the feel-good fans that follow their product. I'm sick and ashamed of you guys because, first of all, I don't get paid to do this. And I'm not going to sit up here. I wish I was getting paid to do this. But even if I was going to pay to do this, I wouldn't be blowing smoke up your ass. That's number one. And you'd be the first person to call me out if I was starting to do that. Number two, when you guys talking about the platforms, when you guys are putting out disingenuous information, that makes your subscribers leave you. Okay, you are having these people buy your merch. You're having these people go follow all your media outlets, and you guys are putting out information like Stafford's a shoo-in for the Broncos. Number 5, this guy was the first person to bring it up in the whole STR community that Matthew Stafford's going to go to Indy. I think that's a shoo-in. I think that's more of a shoo-in than him coming to Denver. Number 2, Deshaun Watson. For that whole list that came out that's saying that Denver's a top 5 on his list of teams, that's a bunch of media hype and baloney, because Deshaun Watson would never come to a team like this with no offensive line, no defensive line, no linebackers to contribute, not even receivers that can get open on a consistent basis.
We can get into the whole receiver thing too. That's what they based everything off of incorrectly. And we can get into that, and it'll segue us into other things. Go ahead.
No, that's
well. The big thing too is the ownership. They don't want to look at that.
And Elway's still in the building. His presence is still in the building, and he'll override a bunch of decisions that George Paton will do this offseason. But we're going to get into that later. But when it comes to people, I just want to bring this up about the whole draft thing that I got some hate on that, and I just want to address it real quick if I may. I haven't been doing a lot of draft videos. This was just the thing that just popped up for me and you to do. I believe that right tackle is a really big need on this team. I do not trust Juwan James and Elijah Wilkinson. And there's a guy out there named, we're not going to get the top tackle in the draft. He'll go in the top 5. But there's a guy, Rashawn Slater, who I am very high on, he can play all 5 positions. He's a good, solid tackle, and he fits. He's a run blocker. He's a row grader. He can develop as a good pass blocker. But when it comes to this whole draft thing, I'm not worried about the draft right now, because I'm worried about who we re-sign, who we don't re-sign, and free agents. That comes first before the draft, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what I've been very disappointed with all these STR platforms. They're jumping to the draft. They're forgetting about the free agents. They're forgetting about
hold on a second. Me and you just did a new intro video, a new landing video. We are GM centric. We are not fan base centric. We are fans, but we come from a GM's point of view, how a GM would look at this. So yeah, fans will just immediately put the cart in front of the horse, go to the draft. They won't go through the actual process that an organization like the Chiefs, like the Patriots, like Tampa Bay now, like the Ravens, like the Steelers, like LA to some degree, the LA Rams, even the Chargers to some degree, I guess, even too. They won't do it properly. Okay, they'll want to just it's all feel good stuff, and it's because kind of like the alcoholic, it's quarterback. Give me another shot. Give me another shot. That'll solve everything. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, this will be the last thing I say, and then we can go into our next point. When you guys, again, this is something I've been having a problem with fans that comment on our stuff. And, if you want to comment, that's totally fine. But when you're providing me analytics and statistics, that ain't going to change my mind. You can bring up the most advanced statistics out there. But what I see on film, even when I watch the games, that analytics and statistics that you're bringing up doesn't contribute to what that player is doing on the field. And that's something that I'm having a big problem with because that doesn't, because you guys are feel goods. You guys are trying to prove something that isn't there and prove something that, okay, for instance, your guys are going to bring up how Patrick Mahomes is this completion percentage, how Matthew Stafford's this is in yards. Just look at the talent that Patrick Mahomes has around him, and then you'll understand why those statistics are where they are at now.
It's not just talent. They have, again, you go. Let's take it all the way back. Let's take it. This blows the analytics away because all they're doing is crunching some numbers. And what did I tell you? That a con artist loves using statistics all the time. And don't think that it's not a part of something, but there's a much bigger picture here. They have, first of all, the ownership, okay? You can't discredit that. Then they have the management that comes up with the next thing, the coaching that develops the system. The coaches are looking at the talent scouts are looking for football, on the good teams, football players, okay? People that can makes football sense for their system. So you have Mahomes that's got he's in a great system that he can work in. They draft around that. They get players that really fit that system. Like you said, the eyeball test, football, people that are football players. And now they become, because they weren't all number one draft picks. They weren't all analytic. This is the analytics has picked them. They weren't those people. But all of this combined made them statistically better than what it started out to be. And that's what you're saying here.
Absolutely.
That's how we're trying to approach this whole, where are we going forward? With the Denver Broncos. We're talking about it from an organizational point of view. The outer picture, then we go into a smaller core, and into a smaller core down to the drilling down to the individual players. So, okay, if that kind of sums it up, but go ahead.
And then this will be the last thing I say, then we can go on to the next point if you would like. I want to bring up the con artists, and that's what I believe a lot of these STR platforms are now. They're con artists.
It sure seems
they want you. They want you to make you feel good, and they want you to buy their merch. They want you to subscribe. They want you to share. They want you to like. And we're not that channel. We're not going to con you. We're going to tell you like it is, and we're not going to bullshit you, and we're not going to put shit on your front door. So that's all I have to say to that.
Yeah, I don't have a Twitter. I have it, but it's for organic brewing. I brew beer. You didn't know that. I used to. I haven't had time to lately, but anyway, so no, I don't have a Twitter. I'm not even on Facebook, to be honest with you.
No, me neither.
So that, this is, this whole channel, when I developed it, was strictly as a note to self. It's really how it started out for me, because I wasn't even showing video. It's just putting like note to self, like, okay, don't draft Flacco. Don't do it. And here's the reasons why. Just
don't trade for Flacco, you mean?
What's that?
Don't trade for Flacco.
I'm sorry. Don't trade for Flacco. Don't bring Flacco in. Don't bring Flacco in. And I said, if they bring him in, I'm going to have to end up defending him because he's not going to work out here. And I gave the reasons why, and exactly it unfolded. You said about the disingenuous platforms. They all sold that guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then they stabbed him in the back. So not only are they disingenuous to their own subscribers or listeners or whatever, they're disingenuous to the people they bring in.
But
I did not want to bring Drew Lock in at all. But I have to be fair to him. Again, if I'm a GM, I'm stuck. I got stuck with him. I have to look at it unbiasedly. Okay. I do not believe that with the state of the team, it is fair to anybody coming in to develop them. And I think we do have a bridge quarterback in Drew Lock right now. Maybe he develops into something else, but we have a guy that's good enough to get the rest of the organization built up. Go ahead.
I also want to bring up I think one missing piece to this whole triangle that we're talking about with Keenum, the quarterback management ownership. I think the centerpiece of it all is, didn't they say that they would that Elway, this was your last chance when they got Flacco, and they totally just undersold that crap and just went back to their oh man, he did good. He was a great GM for us.
Yeah, they're totally
didn't they undersell that too?
Yes, they're totally disingenuous. They did that with fans.
Absolutely.
When they said, this is it. You've been going through offensive coordinators and coaches. This is your last chance. And of course, their balls they cut their own balls, or somebody cut their balls, and they just keep doing it all the time. And it's totally disingenuous. That's why I started this, because I'm just done with their garbage. And then you got to sit through all those garbage crap commercials, and it's just
their sponsorships. It just see, this is why we're different than other platforms, because we don't start commercials when we start the show. We come at you in a way that's different from all those con artist platforms.
Well, I am ashamed to tell you that the pressure was just too much. I did sell out. I do have one sponsor we just got a new sponsor. It's Chatham House. Go look it up. Chatham House. Billionaires that really care a lot about you. So when you get a chance, just check out Chatham House. They are now one of our official sponsors. So if I'm going to have sponsors, I might as well go to the top, right? The top.
There you go. Shoot for the stars.
Shoot for the stars. Yeah. God. So yeah. So let's talk about, okay, these platforms were waiving receivers. This is one thing I even noticed on the national level when it came to Deshaun Watson. They didn't take under consideration, although they whispered it under their breath, that Deshaun Watson, if the Houston Texans decide to get rid of him, he's got a lot of pull on where he's going to go. So none of the articles, all the articles were centric to the Texans and what would work out best for them. But if Deshaun Watson, if they're agreed to let him go, he basically it's almost like Brady. I mean, he can basically go where he wants to go. And no article was written about, well, because I think I was the only one that said, well, I'd take a look at, Tom Brady and say, where is it that I want to go? And obviously the Denver Broncos, as it came out, is not even a thought, for these. No. But, I mean, take a look at let's get back into these. They're waiving, but we got receivers. Okay, let's take that nonsense.
Man.
That nonsense. And let's boil it down. Let's just say, okay, we'll even say, let's say between the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. Well, the Patriots, they don't have any receivers. We got receivers. Okay. Number one, you have Cortland Sutton, who's coming off of an ACL. Okay. It may take him a whole season even to get back on track, but you say, okay, well, that's a long-term investment for Deshaun Watson. Patrick may end up on the Patriots. Now, the Patriots have a track record of winning games and being in Super Bowls, number one. And, but Tom Brady. Well, this is Deshaun Watson. He's another god, right? Y'all said that. The Patriots have a track record of bringing in receivers. They have a decade of like you said, these receivers they bring in. Analytics didn't say they were good. Okay.
Can I just interrupt real quick? When it comes to the people don't like to bring up when they had a Randy Moss. They don't like to bring up when they had Deion Branch back in the day. They forget about Wes Welker. They still forget about Julian Edelman. They forget about other receivers on that team that contributed to winning when Brady was there. And I want to bring up this whole thing since Brady's left. He's in the Super Bowl. Did you see what they had at quarterback? Cam Newton. You know, I mean, you can't. And their offensive line was injured all year. I mean, just
as banged up as their offensive line was, they were
better than Denver's.
Like our offensive line.
They were way better than ours.
Well, I don't know about way, but it was definitely. I mean, as best as we could do, we could only be as good. I'll even say this, just in fairness, as their most beat up offensive line and most degraded offensive line.
Okay, I'll backtrack on that. I apologize. I didn't look at it at that aspect, but if all 5 of those offensive line in New England were healthy, they're 10 times better than our offensive line. That's where I was coming.
Chance, if again, would they even want to come to the Broncos?
No.
We have a chance to sign their center, which would be huge because Cushion, and that's another conversation we can get into.
Yeah.
The whole mismanagement of drafting bad offensive linemen. The Reisner. Well, anyway, that's another conversation. But we could get, if the Broncos, would, instead of just looking at quarterbacks, we could bring their center to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
But he's in free. So those, again, Sports Talk Radio said, but there's nobody out there. Oh, there is people out there. But will they do it? That's the question. So here's the other thing is Deshaun Watson, if he gets, let's say he goes, I'm just using the Patriots. It could be a number of other teams. But just to simplify it, if he went to the Patriots, just him alone they could get receivers in free agency like Tim Patrick from the Broncos. He doesn't have to go to the Broncos. Judy's dropping the ball all over the place. He's definitely not, dropping jaws and making quarterbacks want to come here. I mean,
he went on Twitter, and this is what I heard. He went on Twitter and complained again.
Yeah.
So this is a guy that he's not all there up here.
Yeah, you think that's gonna attract a Stafford or a Deshaun Watson? Of course not.
No.
But we'll tell you that these are the things that need to be fixed on this team. Stop blowing the sunshine up our ass, people. Please stop doing that. Let's actually boil this down and figure out how to move forward. Well, this team, we've talked about this before, it needs ownership.
Yeah.
Ownership. But I want to get into George Paton. I've tried my best not to say Sean Payton. Okay. George Paton. Again, the fan base, feel good crap out there.
They're mad.
They were all up in arms because he's actually acting like a GM. Whether he can be a GM because he's got the albatross of Elway around his neck is one thing, but he actually is acting like a GM. He's not running to the Senior Bowl. He said, I got to sit down and break down what we got. He's doing exactly what me and you've been saying all along because we are GM-centric. We got to find out who we got to get rid of on this roster, okay? Who we got to bring in. So first we got to clear out the roster, he says. Well, he's saying that without saying. He's got to go through the film on what he's got, okay? It's not going to the Senior Bowl. He's got to focus on the team. Again, these other platforms want to focus everywhere else except focusing on the team. Go ahead.
Just to bring up something, he also is talking to his coaching staff, and he is looking at what the scouting department's like as well. So that's what he's acting like a GM, ladies and gentlemen. He's not going to the Senior Bowl because everybody's mad because I've been here for 15 years and Elway used to come there. Okay, well, this isn't Elway. This is George Paton we're talking about here.
We're finally seeing some proper management.
Absolutely.
We're finally seeing some so give Elway credit for that. But whether or not he's allowed to be that.
That's another story.
And that's where the ownership comes in. Elway getting booted, hopefully. And we have at least somebody that's got a clue. At least I'll give him this. He has a clue. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, he's got to go to look at, for instance, we'll say the offensive line.
Yeah,
he's got to, because they have a problem in Minnesota with the offensive line, but he's got to say who's scouting these players. I honestly think he needs to find out who decided to go with Cushenberry. That scout needs to go. Who signed off on all that? Even if you have to talk to I'm gonna not Musgrave. Even if you got to talk to Munchak, you got to find out. That is a hugely poor decision. Okay, to bring him in. I know you may not agree with that, but that to me just glares. You got it wrong.
No,
look at the other offensive linemen. Who is making these decisions? You know, he can't go in and fire everybody right off the bat. So he's got to evaluate. That's going to be time consuming.
Elway was the final say on those decisions.
True. We know that. We know. But I'm just, yes, exactly.
The scouting, and I agree with you. There's just another layer to it where there could have been people going for the likes of Matt Hennessy or etc. Matt Hennessy, I was a bigger fan of Matt Hennessy than Lloyd Cushenberry coming out.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm not going to talk about the draft because it's ramen noodle soup. But when it comes to who's making the decision, okay, because we made a decision on Garrett Bowles to draft him. Who made that move? That was John Elway. And these scouts can, say what they want.
Exactly. We don't know too if they're being. I was going to get into scouting free agents then.
Yeah. Yep.
Because the scouting for free agents has been just okay.
Atrocious.
Yeah. So maybe somebody did want Jordan Phillips to come in.
Maybe
we'll take Casey. We'll take Casey. Are you kidding me? Are you free? And then if again, we're going to see Boye. When we did not want that. We pounded the table that not happen. But so here's the thing: is that are we? I'm going to say Casey. I wanted to get into Casey. He obviously should go. We have film on him. Well, with the Tampa, with Pittsburgh, I think with the Jets, and he was a zero factor. He was a zero factor against those offensive lines.
Absolutely.
He has to go. I know that feel goods will just say Casey. They can't see anything beyond it. Casey is inside the bubble. What's better is outside. So if he is he here long enough to say Casey? He's evaluating. He said, I got to evaluate. He's got to be honest about Casey. Or is John Elway going to pound the table that he stays? These are the questions. If Casey stays,
that's an Elway.
Yeah.
That's not a George Paton. If Boye stays, that's an Elway. That's not a George Paton. If they pay Justin Simmons over $15 million, that's an Elway. Well, no, I don't. You know what? I think that's another issue that we should talk about too, because with the whole Justin Simmons thing.
Well,
I don't know what you fall on that, but there's better safeties out there that can play at a much cheaper price than what Simmons is going to demand.
Well, this is what I don't understand about Simmons to begin with. According to what I'm looking at, he's already one of the higher paid safeties out there. He may not be the highest, but with all the free agents coming out, he's still one of the higher paid ones.
But according to him, he wants to be paid the highest.
That's ridiculous.
I've been on this. I've been on that train. I started that train with the whole Justin Simmons isn't a top 5 safety. I wouldn't pay him top 5 money.
No.
Dude, if they pay Justin Simmons top 5 money, if they pay him the highest paid safety, oh man, that is just going to be a big old colossal failure from management.
You're paying a guy that didn't even make the All-Pro. He made the Pro Bowl, but he didn't make the All-Pro. If I'm right, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I don't know. I know Garrett Bowles made the second All-Pro, but I don't think that I take All-Pros into consideration more than Pro Bowls. So
most people do. Well, again, we go back to the GM point of view. Most people do. Yeah, I don't think that. And he's off his platform a lot. Yeah, there's problems with Simmons, and I agree.
I'll just name off a few weaknesses that I see. His coverage instincts are one of the worst I've seen in a safety. His tackling angles, even his tackling is terrible. He doesn't know how to tackle. Okay, well, he's a free safety, not a strong safety. Well, if you're the last line of defense, you better learn. You better know how to tackle.
Safety net.
That's football 101 here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, this is, we had people that comment, and we had a guy comment, it's on our side, and said, look, I'm just going to use Cushenberry. He says, I can't understand. He says, I like how you call these people feel good. Cushenberry was ranked 32 out of all centers, is just letting players buzz by him like he's a turnstile. And yet these fans, because they just Cushenberry, they just want to say it over and over to make themselves feel good.
He was incrementally getting better. Okay.
No. I got, towards the end, we played Buffalo. They picked him up and just threw him right into Reisner.
Oh, they picked on him. They picked on him that whole game.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's film. The film's out on him already.
No, yeah.
So do you think, again, Deshaun Watson's going to want to have somebody in his face right away?
No.
They can't.
Even Stafford.
Again, feel-good fans, go to your channels, go talk Cushenberry till you're, and then scratch your head, blame the quarterback, why he's got to scramble for his life. But we have seen 4 of them already, from Flacco all the way to Rippon, everybody in between, running for their
Driscoll.
lives. Exactly. They're all running for their lives. Exactly what I was saying. Everyone in between, they're all running for their lives because there is no offensive line. And again, try to understand why people don't want it. Instead of getting mad at Fangio, instead of getting mad at those 2 quarterbacks, just sit and look in the mirror for a second. Why is it they don't want to come here? Why? And then let's solve that problem. That's what a GM is for. That's what this channel is, GM-centric.
Well, that's what an owner is for, too.
Well, an owner would put a foot down on Elway.
He would have been gone 4 or 5. He would have been gone 5 years ago.
He would have been.
If Matt Bowlen was still here, he would have been fired.
No, he promotes himself, and yes.
Yeah, so he steps up, not down.
And that's another reason these guys don't want to come here. But the feel-gooders will never talk about it. We have to. That's why we have this channel. We have to talk about this.
But Elway, if you wanted to spend so much time with your grandkids, why didn't you do all of us a favor and just leave?
Yeah.
Just please. Instead of just making the same money that you were in a different position where you're going to oversee the whole. He's the player. I think his player operations or whatever his title is now. So he can oversee everything. Just like he was a GM. He had 2 titles as a GM. He was player personnel and GM. But now he just has 1 title. But
well, he was head coach. He was head coach.
Yeah, head coach, yeah.
Because I like how everybody finally at Sports Talk Radio acknowledged what we said from the beginning. Fangio was hired as a defensive coordinator, but they don't want to say that. They said he just likes to be a defensive coordinator. Well, that's how they hired him.
He was hired as a Wade Phillips.
He's hired as a Wade Phillips. Well, Elway played head coach.
Yeah, that's probably why Fangio took this job. Is because he had incentives in his contract, and they had a contract worked out saying, okay, you just worry about the defense, I'll worry about everything else. Like you've brought up, you were the first person to bring it up in the STR community and the Broncos country.
Well, they couldn't get around it because they see him running the defense all the time. You don't really see him as a head coach. You see him more as a defensive coordinator.
And can I ask you this? For what Fangio was working with the terrible player personnel on the defensive side of the ball, he's made chicken shit into chicken soup.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got Simmons.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
Would you take Justin Simmons over Tyrann Mathieu?
No. And what was Tyrann Mathieu? He was brought in. He was scouted. Was he a statistically analytic, big-time pickup at that time? At the time they looked at him, would people on the perimeter look at him?
I think his name was a lot bigger than his statistics and analytics would bring up. I think that he was a better fit for that type of defense with the Steve Span. I forgot his name. What his defense was running at that time.
So that's how we're coming at this. We're not coming at it strictly by numbers. We're looking at a bigger picture on how they fit into a system. That brings us to Shurmur now. I'm going to say system brings us to Shurmur. And I agree with one of the guys you go butt heads with, but I agree with what he said. Shurmur has to decide what is it you're going to run. He has no identity. He doesn't know, am I going to be the Chiefs today? Am I going to be, running the Titan system? Am I, what am I, he's should I go bombs away, be vertical like Al Davis? What should I do? It's just, and that we can only blame Shurmur so much. We know John Elway brought him in and said, I want to go vertical. I got
these receivers, these all-pro receivers.
And I've got Locke. I want to go vertical. I'm Al Davis. I want to go vertical,
Absolutely.
And then that blew up in their face because that's head coach John Elway now. Head coach John Elway wants to go vertical. So, but like I said, are we going to see a lot of that in the Super Bowl? Are we going to see more shorter to mid-range, high percentage passes? Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Against two pretty good defenses.
Absolutely.
So isn't that, it's not so much the quarterback, but is the system not the blueprint?
Yes. The system is the blueprint.
Yeah. Now, I've said this since I said this back in the 80s, that this would be the blueprint of the future's high percentage, you can throw a bomb once in a while. I'm not saying not to do that. But the core of your passing is based around short to mid-range passing.
And once we start connecting on those, they'll bring the safety down, and then you can throw a deep bomb. That's the same with running the football in a smart, schematic way, where you'll bring the linebackers in, you'll bring the safeties in, even the corners to play man-to-man coverage, and then you'll be able to hit somebody deep. That's why the Shanahan system is one of the best systems out there. And if I was an offense coordinator, that's the blueprint I'd be going off of, because they do exactly what they do. A lot of rollouts. They do a lot of short to intermediate passing plays in a smart schematic manner, just like their running plays.
Now, if the Broncos would commit just to that alone, would that not help lockout? Matter of fact, didn't we see that?
Yeah, we saw that when they were running the Mike Munchak offense. I mean, even with Rich Scangarillo too, it helped. It helped lockout. It helped lockout.
But when
immensely and then you have him in shotgun, trying to read defense, and that's not one of Locke's strong suits because he's a young player. Yeah, can I ask you this? Why wouldn't you make it easier for a young player, and then during the offseason he can get better, watch the film, and grow into that, instead of just fitting a square peg in a round hole? That makes no sense to me.
Well, I had to explain to a feel-gooder that came on, and they were saying, we got to, how dare we have to dumb down this offense for Drew Lock? And I'm like, dude, I said, let me explain this to you. I listened to comprehensive interviews with Tom Brady's coaches when Tom Brady was brought into the New England Patriots. Drew Bledsoe went down. They had to dumb down the playbook big time for Tom Brady. This is not unusual. It's not a curse. This is called smart foot. This is management using their brains. They did that using their brains, okay? And they, slowly built up the playbook.
They did that with Patrick Mahomes.
Of course. They don't want to look at that. But here's the thing. When Tom Brady got to the Patriots, he had already been placed on a Super Bowl contending team.
Oh, absolutely.
When Mahomes got his place on the Kansas City Chiefs, he was already on a well-established playoff team.
Absolutely.
The Denver Broncos are a train wreck, and you're asking a young quarterback who's been thrown all these different systems and stuff to start going vertical because your GM and player personnel, John Elway, playing Al Davis, can't seem to put one and one together like all these other organizations did. Okay, so I don't know where this is going until he's gone, until ownership comes. I really don't.
This team has to be rooted up from the ground out. Unfortunately.
From management, from ownership to
Yeah,
management.
absolutely.
You know what? It may be one thing to give Elway props on one thing. If he leaves, it would be wonderful. Maybe Paton is a good thing for a new owner to have to be stuck with. And maybe, like you said, maybe, just maybe, he'll say, we're definitely not going to do it the Elway way anymore.
No, I think there's something to them giving him a 6-year contract.
So give Elway credit for that.
Absolutely.
Because, and again, I don't hate John Elway because I don't believe he's doing things because he hates the Denver Broncos. I'm not that stupid. I think he believes in his mind he does things for the best, not from the point of view that he's, strangling the team with his own hands.
Well, even Elway admitted it. He's one of those more competitive. He was a competitive player. He was a competitive person growing up, and he's a competitive GM. And his ego will get in the way of a lot of the smart decisions that need to be run in an NFL franchise. Unfortunately, when you are so egocentric, and Elway has a big ego, we all know this. That's going to get in the way in a lot of smart decisions that you make. But it just, the track record speaks for itself.
So, Pat Bowlen knew one thing as an owner. You got to check your ego at the door. You got to check your ego at the door. You got to listen to people. You got to, you've got to, with the goal of making this the feared franchise that you need to make it.
And they were
Pat Bowlen 100% perfect? No. But he understood management. He really understood management, understood that you need smart decision making at the ownership level.
Absolutely.
And it can't be like me. It's got to be,
it has to be a conglomerate of all that people with scouting, with pro personnel, college personnel. I mean, I'll after we're done with this video, I'm going to send you about an hour-long YouTube video of the Colts during, and this is, I will always bring this up. The one thing I love about the Colts is that it's not just Chris Ballard making the decisions. It's everybody in that building coming together and building a good NFL team. Yeah, and that's what the Broncos used to be. That's what the Broncos used to be under Pat Bowlen.
You sent me the Bills video. You sent me the Bills video too.
Yeah.
So maybe we could post these too, just to show that, we need this synergy. We need this type of, that's been long. It's not the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks come later. That's later down the road. You need to build this core. Starts from the ownership, gets to the management, gets to the coaching staff. And it's almost like a dance where they're all working together. And then, player personnel, then quarterback, off to the races you go.
And I just want to bring this up too. When we are even this is the same thing with coaching. Everybody wants to go after the hot name coaches out there. They won't come to Denver. But if you're a smart organization, you can look past that and find diamonds in the rough. Just like the Colts with Frank Wright, just like the Bills with Sean McDermott, just like even the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan. I know Kyle Shanahan was coveted for a long time, but he didn't get a shot till a few years down the road. So, you can find coaches out there, but you have to find a GM and a coach and an owner and a management and a scouting department and a pro personnel that all can work together and have the same vision.
Okay, so let's get into the part where I call it "It'll Never Happen." Let's get into "It'll Never Happen" episode here. Let's talk about who do we need to get rid of. Let's just throw it out there.
Okay.
Who do we need to just get rid of?
I'll let you go first.
Okay, I know you're going to want to get rid of Simmons if he asks for too much money.
Yes.
If he asks for too much money, so that's kind of a contingent. I want to get rid of Casey. He's got to go. He's definitely got to go. Boye's definitely got to go. So there's your argument for a corner, I guess. Boye's got to go. I don't know about the newer players. I don't think you can, there's probably guys on the 53 backups there's probably a myriad of backups that can go. Yeah. We could probably cut.
Alexander Johnson's a free agent.
Oh, is Alexander Johnson a free agent? he can go. You don't sign him to big money. Go shop the linebacking. Do you have any linebacking?
Yeah,
I haven't looked
I
at
wrote
the
it down on my
linebacking yet.
notes.
Okay, who do we have in
I'm
linebacking to replace
for
Alexander
guys who we
Johnson?
can go. So there's a guy in Pittsburgh named Avery Williamson
Uh-huh.
who is he is 28 years old. A guy that can come in and he has a lot more coverage skills than Alexander Johnson. Um, Raekwon McMillan, he is 25 years old from the Oakland Raiders. He's kind
Uh-huh.
of like your Corey Littleton. He's a very good coverage guy. He can be an also good run stuffer, and he's young. And that's the type of guy I'd rather go after. He a lot more upside. More upside.
Okay.
And then my last guy is well, I actually have 4 guys, but the one of them's not. I looked at his tape and it's not very good. But this guy's from Indy. Anthony Walker Jr.
Okay.
He is 25 years old. This guy played extremely well for the Indianapolis Colts, in my opinion.
Okay.
His stats probably won't present that, but he's a very under the radar type guy that maybe we can sign to like a 3-year cheap contract that could start for us, and you can look for your next up and coming linebacker.
Okay. So I'm going to have you send me these names. Okay. You send me these names because I'll post them. Okay. So Alexander Johnson's got to go too. So I guess that we took care of Casey. So we go to the offense. Wilkinson, is he up? Who's up on the offensive line?
I think Wilkinson is.
He needs to go. Wilkinson definitely needs to go.
But you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't mind cutting Juwan James. That cap hit might be big at the start of this year, but you know what? You need to wipe your hands clean with that contract, or you need to restructure that contract or something.
Here's my Juwan James disclaimer. I say you're definitely got to replace him. You're either way, you got to replace him. So, whether you cut him or not, that has to be addressed. He has to, because we know for a fact he's not going to go 16 games. So, hold on a second. So my take is you can keep him, but as soon as he wants to go right back into that hot tub, you put him on IR. Put him on IR immediately.
That's what I've been hearing too from a lot of people, that they're done with Juwan James. I've been looking at some rumors and stuff, and there's some people in that organization that are done with Juwan James.
So you could do both. You could say, okay, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but as soon as you play this little hot tub time machine game, you're on IR. And
Absolutely.
You're on IR. That way, because you're still paying for it anyway.
Yes.
So I'm saying I'm saying you could probably get rid of Wilkinson.
So I just want to bring up 2 guys that I looked up just for you. So we could bring in a center, or we could bring in a swing tackle maybe to replace Elijah Wilkinson, who's namely a guard, not a tackle. So the tackle I will bring up to you is Darrell Williams, tackle from Buffalo, 28 years old, who could come in on like a 1 or 2 year contract, can be your swing tackle if Juwan James doesn't work out, or you can replace Juwan James. Darrell Williams won't cost you this much. But a guy there's 2 guys at the center position that can come in for a year or 2, and maybe you can have Cushenberry develop. Corey Lindsley from the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I saw him.
29 years old, and Tyler Larson from the Carolina Panthers. He's 29. He's the backup to Matt Paradis, and he's a veteran around the league. And in case, we should talk about Graham Glasgow. I think here's a guy that needs to step it up big time next year. I know that we have Tane Moody, but I don't really trust Austin Schlottman to back up what's his face.
No. Can Schlottman be replaced? He can.
Yes.
Right? So Schlottman goes. Now I want the guy from New England, the center from New England, to come here.
Okay,
that's my guy.
The only reason I didn't pick him is because he's very injury prone.
Well, he was last season, but does he have a history of that?
Yes, I think he's got a history of it.
I thought it was just that, but it wasn't a major injury. It was a thumb.
I know, but
I know
I'm just
we don't want injury prone.
we don't want Ron Leary and Graham Glasgow type.
Well,
players.
how's Green Bay? How is Green Bay's film looking?
The Corey Lindsley guy?
Yeah.
Oh, he's very durable. He this year he took that next step, and I think if you bring him in, you can have Lloyd Cushenberry get mentored by a guy like Corey Lindsley. Even Tyler Larson. Tyler Larson isn't that bad of a player either. These are guys that are veterans in the league that you can bring in on a 2-year contract, on a 1-year contract, have Cushenberry step back and be like, okay, this is what I need to work on, and maybe Cushenberry works out. If he doesn't, okay, you can wipe your hands clean. But you need to get better at the center position and at the right tackle position. And that's why I have Darrell Williams, Lindsley, Larson, and Slater as my guys to go after this offseason.
Okay, yes. Okay, so I like the Green Bay sounds really good. You need to remember, send me all these guys. And we get rid of Slotman. And what about okay, we're also you talked about Slater for the right tackle position?
Yeah, played for Northwestern.
So you could affect so you may have to keep Wilkinson then if you're not going to free agent outright.
But honestly, if you bring in a Darrell Williams, you can have Slater be your Jack Conklin for a year. You can have him watch, develop, or maybe even start maybe after the bye week or something if he's producing the way that you want. But if you bring in, he could be your Jack Conklin type player, where he came into Tennessee, learned under a really good player that was solid, was a good player for the Titans, and maybe he can turn into something. That's where I'm trying to, as a GM mind, that's how I look at it. I don't know about you.
Okay, so we keep wilkinson then, just that because we're not free agent replacing, right? Our free agent essentially is we're keeping Wilkinson and we're keeping Hot Tub Time Machine.
Well, okay, so if you're going to keep Wilkinson, you better then have him as a backup guard to Reisner. That's how I would do it. If you're going to don't have him as a backup tackle. Don't do that, because if we're going to keep Wilkinson, I want him at a guard, not tackle.
Oh, okay. So do we need him as a? Well, I guess you need a backup at guard, right?
Yeah, I mean he's a good.
So so we discussed right tackle as Juwan James is also like is like Simmons. He's pending. He's a pending.
Yeah,
he's pending. So who outright? So you think outright in the draft takes care of? Well, who in free agency? Is there a right tackle in free agency?
Yeah, that Darrell Williams guy.
Okay, Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll add that. And where's he from?
He's from Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Well, that already sounds good.
Yeah. Yes.
Then okay, we'll add that to, and then we'll keep Wilkinson and move him into the guard position.
Yeah, the Slotman's position.
I'll write that in there. Now, moving to tight ends, is there any tight ends that we can just cut outright?
That we can cut?
Yeah.
I would probably let Troy Fumagalli go. I like Troy Fumagalli, but maybe you can try and slip him on the practice squad. I like Nick. For all the hate I give Nick Van Nett, I do like him as a blocking tight end.
I'm throwing it out there. If we're fine, if we could, obviously all tight ends were crucial because somebody, Fant was injured off and on during the season. So both tight ends, okay. We could keep sorry to interrupt. You still have Albert Obo. I can't say that. Just say Albert O. Oh, Albert O. We have him. Yeah. Okay. So, well, do you cut a Fumagalli to make room for somebody else on the roster? So we can. What's that?
Or an Andrew Beck too.
Andrew Beck, who plays fullback.
Plays.
So we could say Beck, Fumagalli pending.
Yeah, Fumagalli pending. That's what I would do.
Yeah, pending or Beck pending on Ross. How many on the 53?
Yes.
But there's always moving a guy like that to the practice squad.
Yes.
Okay. Now moving to the running and halfback. Well, there is no halfback. I think Gordon should go.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Gordon should go. Do you have running backs that can replace Gordon?
I think you keep Philip Lindsay. He's a restricted free agent. You place a second round tender on him. You place a second round tender on him and see what you can do with that. If you can't get anything done, okay. There's a guy named the guy who played for Carolina, Miles Davis, who is kind of your power back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a good pass blocker for if you need to keep him in for pass blocking sets. I think that's a guy you can go after. I didn't really look at the running back free agent class. I kind of like going after running backs in the draft because running backs burn out quicker than any other position in the NFL, in my opinion. If you don't have a good offensive line, and that's what Denver has right now, they don't have a good offensive line. So I think that you could go after Davis, and maybe you could bring in a guy in the draft. I haven't looked at any of the running backs in the draft yet, but Davis is a guy that, won't cost you much. He could be on a 1-2 year contract and can maybe have a good year for you. And you maybe can bring back Phil Lindsay. You still have Royce Freeman. I know a lot of people don't like Royce Freeman, but, you got to make do what you have.
So two questions. One, we know that it's most likely that Von Miller will be gone, whether we like that or not.
Yeah.
It's just a reality. So do you have anybody in free agency that replaces Von Miller?
Yes. The only guy that I would go after is Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd played for Vic Fangio in Chicago. He's still young. He is he's your tweener linebacker. And what I mean by that is he is more of your speed guy. So you have Bradley Chubb is more of your run stuffing edge who can still get with power. And then you have your Leonard Floyd, who he has the speed to drop back in coverage because we all know that Fangio likes to play the cover 2, cover 3 type coverage, and he likes to use his linebackers in coverage. So I think if you bring Leonard Floyd on a maybe 3-year contract but cheap, try to anyway. I think that'd be a guy that can replace Vaughn, and maybe he can do some good things for you.
Okay, now let's move over to Casey. We get rid of Casey.
Oh, there's a lot. I put a lot on the defensive line. I'm not going to lie.
Now, we lost out Jordan Phillips last year. Who do you have, based on your all-22 film, who do we have to replace Casey?
And I think Shelby Harris is a free agent too. So I think that's a guy that Draymond Jones, everybody's praising him, but I didn't see much from him in a pass rushing. I mean, he's a good pass rusher, but not your top tiers that you need to push the pocket. He can be a rotational guy.
So who are we getting rid of? But we got Casey, he's gone. Who else? Is there anybody else on the defensive line that they're tied? Well, Harris is
DeMarcus Walker is a free agent.
Yeah, can we cut DeMarcus Walker, you think?
Yeah, he is an upcoming free agent.
No, I mean, is he someone we should cut, or is he somebody who should be backup?
He's gone. I don't like.
Okay,
DeMarcus
so
Walker.
Casey and Walker are gone. Harris is pending.
Yes.
And Harris pending on how the Broncos.
Yes.
So
yes.
Okay, give us the list of defensive linemen, tackles preferably.
Defensive tackle. Okay. One guy that I am a very big fan of is Sheldon Rankins from the Saints. He's 26 years old, and he can provide that pass rush up the middle. You have Mike Purcell. He could be your run stuffer, but in certain sets that you need that pass rush, Sheldon Rankins is my top guy at the defensive tackle. Another guy that is very under the radar, Adam Butler from the New England Patriots, the same age as Sheldon Rankins, who can provide that pass rush up the middle. And then one more guy I have is Ray Robertson Harris from Chicago. He's 27. Fangio was very high on him when he was in Chicago. He's a defensive tackle who can provide that pass rush up the middle.
We lack that, which we completely lack.
Yes.
Okay, so here's your. You can keep going, but first, this is going to be your assignment. On a notepad or whatever it is, write down these names, position, and then just a little note provides pass rush or whatever it is that they.
Yeah, I have it all right here.
Well, you need to be able to. You got to digitally transfer that, and then copy that and paste it to our Skype that we go back and forth on, and then I can copy and paste that on in like a pinned.
Okay.
In pinned.
Okay. And then if we lose out on Shelby Harris, if he decides to take more money elsewhere, because I wouldn't pay him top flight defensive end money, my top guy is Leonard Williams, but I don't see him coming to Denver. I think he'll stay in New York. But one guy that I'm very high on is Solomon Thomas, and I've mentioned his name a few times on this channel. He is 25 years old, and he was a former first-round pick, and he can provide some pass rush at the defensive end position. And then one more guy I have a lot of defensive ends on this list, but Trey Hendrickson from the Saints, 26 years old. He had a breakout year this year. He can kind of replace that pass rushing. So if you bring in Sheldon Rankins and Trey Hendrickson from the Saints, there's your pass rush that you've been wanting for years right there.
Okay, so what I want to do is we know that most likely Elway because they can't do it. They can't make changes like this. They talk a good game, but they can't. But they just want to make headline splash moves, not make football moves. These are football moves. So I want this documented so that when Sports Talk Radio is crying a river, there was nobody out there like they always do, because they never will say any of these names. They just go out for quarterbacks or, wait for the Broncos to make their stupid moves as they always do. And then, celebrate as the team goes to another losing season. So I want it on record that we, GM-centric Broncos channel have provided you names, opportunities. We could have upgraded this team without having to go a quarterback. At least this round. Now,
this is how I look at it. This is how if I was a GM for the Broncos and I didn't have Elway as my arbitrage, I'd be going after my top guy. I would honestly say is Corey Lindsley from Green Bay, and then my next guy, if you're going for the defensive line, it's Sheldon Rankins. Okay. Those two are my top guys.
Okay, you could put that too, and a little descriptor on there.
Yep.
Okay, so these are steps to the draft. These, that's why we're not sending everybody out like with their chicken with their head cut off. But you are looking at the draft. So tell me a little bit about what you saw in the draft. You sent me a link. I can post this link too that you sent me.
Okay. The YouTube. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay, so I was watching. Are you talking about the Senior Bowl? Is that what you want me to talk about?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It was a breakdown of that.
Yeah. A guy that I was really high on. Let me see. I got my notes right here. I was really impressed by the guy that you just brought up a name, Marvin Wilson from Florida State.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with him. He is your Sheldon Rankins type. He is your defensive tackle, pass rushing type. He's not going to be a very good run stuffer, but you can get by with him as being a good pocket pusher. And if you saw it, if you watched the tape at all, you saw him push that pocket.
Yeah, that's what we need. Yeah, we need to be the team that pushes the pocket.
Yes.
Yeah. You need to, and then the other guys you're talking about, we'll just say that it's Mahomes. Mahomes, like any other quarterback, like Tom Brady, they do not like pressure in the face.
Yeah.
Okay, so you provide that pressure in the face. You got one of the guys on the ends that you brought in now to apply to keep him contained. To disrupt that passing game of his. I mean, we have to build this team to beat Mahomes. It's not just about quarterbacks. We first have to look at it defensively, because that's who is playing Mahomes is the defense.
You know what I'll say to that? I don't think we have to make a team to beat Patrick Mahomes. We have to make a team to not beat ourselves as a Denver Broncos team.
Exactly. Well, that's true. We have to build a team first that doesn't beat ourselves.
Exactly.
You know what? I'm going to use that too as a part of the headline: building a team that doesn't beat itself. First. Then you got to get rid of Locke. You just have to.
Yeah. You got to go after Stafford, who will never come here. The one thing I was really disappointed with Wilson, and I know it's just him in the four-tech, I was not really impressed. I wrote that in my notes. And four-tech is, I believe the four-tech is if you're in a 4-3 defense and you're going to be in the four-tech in a 3-4, you're going to be basically aligned at that. If you're a defensive tackle, you're going to be aligned centered upon that center. And Mike Purcell, I love Mike Purcell as a run stuffer, and I was the first person to bring up once he got hurt that this run defense would struggle. You can have him as your nickel or whatever you want, but I'm going to tell you right now, Marvin Wilson really impressed me. He was one of my standout candidates, and then the guy from the center from Kentucky really impressed me, and Trey Smith, he's a guard from Tennessee. They had him at guard. His pass blocking sets were extremely more excellent than Graham Glasgow's. His footwork was very technically sound, and I was just really impressed by what I saw from those two guys.
So this could be a potential replacement for Glasgow.
Yeah. Well, we have Moody, but if Reisner doesn't progress, you can move Moody over there or whatever you want to do. There's a lot of options this offseason where Denver can make smart decisions that are very under the radar.
I'm going to tell you this right now about Reisner. He definitely disappointed in this year.
Me too. Absolutely.
And if he doesn't, and everybody has a slump, but there's a disclaimer. And I got thinking about it and taking my emotions, checking him at the door. And I thought, you know what? Maybe because he had Cushenberry next to him, that may have been a problem. But it seemed to me that he was also being overpowered one-on-one.
Yeah.
So if we don't see improvement, he may be a next cut. He may be the following year's cut.
Absolutely.
But I agree. I think that the lines have been totally misdiagnosed. They've been misfires, in bringing people in. We talked about linebacking. There's a guy I brought up. You said you liked him a lot. He's projected to be now. The hype train. You got to sometimes throttle that down. But this linebacker is supposed to be a 1 in 10 year linebacker, and
Micah Parsons.
I put him as my number one guy. That if he truly was this game changing linebacker, the Denver Broncos definitely need something in their linebacking they haven't had in a long time.
Can I just say this? The only reason in my draft video I picked Slater over Parsons because Parsons was already gone. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. I just want to put that out there. I would have picked Parsons at that. I love Parsons, but Slater is my next prospect that I have right now.
So when we do a draft, when we finally get to the draft,
I just want to put that out there.
Okay, we have Alexander Johnson already being replaced outright in free agency.
So same with Josie Jewell too. Don't forget about him.
Well, he's not up yet though, is he?
I know, but you can replace him. You can have.
Well, no, that's what I'm looking at the draft. Maybe his replacement is in the draft.
Yes.
But then you're talking probably it could be a second round or third round.
For who?
I mean, I'm trying because what we have to do is we have to go get the Broncos. We got to look at our free agent, what we did in free agency.
And can I just? Oh, go ahead.
And then what we have to do is come up with, how we're going to draft based on who we got rid of, who we're getting in free, who we potentially are going to sign. We know the Broncos won't do this. Who, we're basing our draft on everything we did before it. Okay. But to me, it seems like the draft may be a good place to get Josie Jewell's replacement.
And I think that this draft, or I think free agency, you can find a replacement for Kareem Jackson here.
Corner is definitely that's big on everybody's list. A corner,
There is one safety out there that I have that can play your nickel. That Will Parsons playing. Yeah. Sean Davis from Pittsburgh. Sean Davis from Pittsburgh. He can play that nickel. He can cover tight ends. He can cover the slot. If you're playing your nickel defense, you can have Sean Davis play that position. He's 27 years old. You can have him on a 2-year contract.
Okay, this is free agents. Absolutely bring him in.
Yes.
Getting rid of Boye. What about moving? I don't know. Jackson, what's he on? He's definitely a cap hit.
Yeah, you can move on and save $10 million
from
his
Jackson.
contract.
Okay, we'll throw. So
Jackson.
you would like to see Jackson go too?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going after Marcus May from the New York Jets either, but I could see him re-signing because of Saleh, and Saleh is very, very highly regarded. Malik Hooker, that's my number one safety I want to go after. You brought him up, Malik Hooker from Indy, 24 years old. This guy's way better than Justin Simmons, in my opinion.
Yeah, we brought up Hooker, so we could replace Simmons with Hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a lot less money, or at least the same amount of money, if anything.
Yeah, and he's younger, and he has a lot more skill to his game than Justin Simmons, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. This all sounds good.
Yeah.
So you put all that in digital form, and
I will.
That will be pinned and explained. And I'm going to probably call this cleaning house. Denver Broncos cleaning house. Steps to the draft.
That works for me.
All right. So we could end this now. And we'll have this post up. Then we'll do a draft. We'll actually do a war room draft, a proper one. And we will do a disclaimer that this is based off the proper moves that a real organization would do if they came in here and actually got this organization back on track.
Absolutely. We're not going to con you.
No.
I just want to put that out there.
No, there's been too much of that going on. So
absolutely.
All right.
Alrighty.
All right. Take care. Make sure to get that stuff to me, and that's when I'll post it.
Yeah, I'll try and get it to you here in the next 24 hours.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.